Hi, Jason. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, T. Hi,
Hi,
Jason.
Alan. Hi, Ben. Hi, Daniel.
You all right?
Yep, very good.
Good t-shirt,
Mm-hmm.
Jason.
Yep, money, please.
We'll talk money after. So, how have you been, Jason?
Yeah, very good actually. I've got it's been God for everybody. It's been quite a strange kind of time. But I've been really busy. Been working on loads of stuff. Lots of great new music. People seem to have been really creative during this time.
I guess you got an excuse to do nothing, to stay at home and record, yeah.
Exactly, and I think the first few months I kind of had this panic, like, oh shit, there's gonna be absolutely no work, and I had quite a few records that I'd been working on just before the lockdown. Kind of fortunately, I'd been back in the UK and I'd been recording a few things over there, and I had a load of stuff still to work on. So I was like, right, cool. That was a few months of just getting into the mixes and making those records happen. And then I thought it's going to get really quiet, and it did for a few months. And then suddenly it was just everybody started getting in touch with me, like same as you guys. Like, we've not been able to get into the studio, but we were going crazy, not recording anything and not making any music, and we've just done it. We've just like got DIY and we've done it at home, or we've taken old recordings or old demos and we've kind of tried to improve them and what can you do with them. And it's been amazing, like just the amount that people have been actually trying to get out there and trying to create.
Yeah,
Because
I don't know if everyone, I guess loads of people were like us. I've always been ready for down times. I don't know, as
uh-huh.
a musician, I've always had tracks in the back. That's why I recorded that EP.
Yep.
I've always had on that EP. I've got drum machine samples that I've recorded. Not even samples, like whole full tracks of me playing with the drum machine, or Carling playing with the drum machine, or both of us playing with the drum machine.
Mm-hmm.
Like full on tracks of it, being ready for the day. Probably not for a virus, but
When the world goes to shit.
when I have no more friends, or when I'm older, when I retire.
Yeah.
I got loads of track recorded for moments like this, I guess.
You can be in lockdown for like 3 years. You'll be, you'll be like 10 Frankie Teardrop Dead albums.
And then we'd have the hardest working people in psych business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like I saw with the interview that you did with the guy from the Pleasure Routine, the
Kevin.
Stefan.
The pleasure,
And,
mate.
yeah, and you were talking about how it was you didn't realize how much you took playing live for granted.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the thing with all the bands, that after a few months, people were just like, oh my God, I've not been able to get out. I've not been able to go on stage and just get this feeling out and get the buzz and get the inspiration that they would usually have. And I think that's what just drove people to be like, well, even if I can't get into a studio, I'm just going to make things. And it's so cool to think that people are just grabbing what's there and what's in front of them. And that kind of feels like what you did a lot with this CP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
following the usual.
Sorry, I wonder what sort of recordings you've been getting from people, because it's exactly what I've done. I've taken bits, like odd bits that I never would have thought of doing, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And I found out that it was the right moment to do the weird stuff in a way. It's
Yep.
excusable because no one's around. Uh, Lead guitarist went back to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, our drummer moved to Berlin, um, and our bassist moved back to Italy. Now he's back in London, but he's on lockdown, so there's not even any foreseeable future for any jamming really. Rehearsal spaces are closed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's all gonna be like homemade. I mean, if we've always done a bit of homemade. There's always been a bit of homemade in there.
Yep.
But now it's like completely homemade.
Exactly. It's like when we did Plain Eclipse when I came over and we did that. I mean, that was homemade. It was
Yeah.
in your home. It was
That's a
like
big home though.
it was a big home, but it had that whole feeling of everybody was at home. It was like your studio was surrounded by bedrooms and kitchens and goings and everybody doing their thing. You know what I mean?
Having to go and tell people to be quiet in the kitchen while we're trying to record our masterpiece.
All the time it was brilliant. You kept doing that, Carlin. You kept going through, and you were like that.
I know.
Everybody, shut the fuck up.
We're trying to record some vocals here.
It can be noisy when there's the drums.
Yep.
And when there's the vocals.
Now it's just been like a room-made record. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
sizing it. When I remember when Ben and Carling sent me the demos for the new stuff, I was trying to think of the best way to do it without upsetting my neighbours potentially. I remember Jason's techniques, and I was like, "Nah, sorry, they're just gonna have to put up with it for you know what I mean." So that was.
Did you get any complaints?
Sorry.
Did you get any complaints?
No, actually, not for that.
Not for that.
Right, what for then?
It's because those guitar bits are so brilliant, man. You haven't heard yet all the bits, but there is some leads in there that are absolutely amazing and completely unexpected. And Dee did pretty much. He had some bits that were guided by me, but he's got loads of elements that he added himself that I think will surprise people. There's a bit of like really high quality, like mainstream sounding leads that are quite cool.
Yeah, man.
Like,
it's like you did most of the
Michael
guitars,
Jackson level.
What's that, sorry?
Michael Jackson level. You know what I mean? Like proper good production from like the 90s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Because you did most of the guitars, Daniel, didn't you?
Yeah, on tracks 1 and 2, and funnily enough, there's a bit on track 3 as well. Tais toi, I believe.
Oh yeah, that bit. You know that bit has been that little war bit has been a thing that disappeared for some reason at some point, and the file was really hard to find. But I probably spent a couple days trying to find that file because I remembered it, and I didn't want to not have it in it.
Yeah, it took ages because I sent you the first mix and you were like, "Where's Daniel? Where's Daniel's bit?" And I was like, "What bit?" And you were like, "The wah wah guitar bit." I was like, "Don't know what you're talking about." And then you sent back over this bit and I put it in. And I was like, "Oh fuck, that's amazing, man!" It's really cool.
Just that tiny bit at the beginning, that absolutely amazing.
And it makes it.
That was the first thing I ever recorded for you guys as well.
Oh, see how important that became, man. That's great, man.
Can't wait for everybody to hear it. But, oh, sorry, after you.
The guitars, mate, on like the song that's coming out, Hard Machine, they're so cool. The guitars on that are just amazing. It's like somebody that explained it to me. They heard it. I let a couple of people hear it when I was doing the mix of it, and I was like, always try and do that just to get other people's opinions and you think this is sitting good before I send it back to the band. And I sent it up to Charlie, my mate that I'm mixing stuff for just now. And he came back and he was like, this is unbelievable. He was like, it's like T-Rex playing War Pigs by Black Sabbath in a disco. And it was like that. Yes, man. And it was the guitar. It was just like that massive, like, the big riff, you know what I mean? But it's just
we've done about 7 takes of different sounds for the same riff. You got the bass with the big muff doing the guitar riff. You got Daniel tried with, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 setups on the guitar to do the riff, I think. I've
Yeah.
got 2 on it. I don't know. I think there's probably 7 that we bind it together or something.
Yeah.
I remember that's like I remember that's something you taught me, Jason, actually, about like playing the same part but all on different instruments or different settings. It brings out other layers in the melody, you know.
Yeah, I've done that in a lot of my songs. Doing like a lot of people would do one take and double it and change the effects on the program, but
Mhm.
I've always done the same riff with complete, like you take another guitar and you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You take
Yeah.
another guitar and you do it, and you put one with no effect at all, and you still leave it in there. And
Mhm.
like I
It's more
always
natural.
like when they sound slightly different, you know,
Yeah,
even in timing. I would say like a tiny bit different. So one is really early, one is late, one is on spot on, and that makes that. I want an army of guitars doing that riff, if you know what I mean.
yeah, because it makes it more human. It's like I was speaking to a band about this actually the other day, and they were talking about click tracks and auto tune and all this, and just the thoughts behind that. And I was trying to explain, look, you've got to embrace the kind of human side of music, and that there is flaws, and we're all flawed, and we've all got our own problems and our own mess ups and good things and bad things, and music should be the same. It should reflect that.
If you,
And
the old drum machine that we used on it, if you use really old drum machine, the timing doesn't stay right.
it doesn't
It's all of
it
shuffles.
yeah.
It's all of
You
shuffles.
notice in
Even
that
the
drum
beginning
machine that
is
you
not.
used, there's this ring, there's like a ringing sound all the way through, like a kind of, it's weird. It's like just this every time that the hi-hat or something, it's as if, I don't know if it's just because it's old or if it's just through age, it's got kind of screwed up or something, but the hi-hat keeps on ringing for a little while longer, and it creates this tone, and it's really cool because it becomes a part of the tone of the record, that you hear this kind of, that usually you would get rid of. If you did drums and you heard this tone in the cymbals, you'd filter it off, but with the drum machine you're like, keep it on, man, it sounds cool.
Well, I remember talking to a guy that's been producing like probably since the 80s or maybe late 70s, and he was telling me that back in the day they'll play a live set with the drum machine, and you'll have to restart it once in a while because it goes off. So
Right.
you'd have to re-trigger it because it always slightly over time shuffles out.
Uh-huh.
So apparently you really had to, just the drum machine, there's something in there that just doesn't stay on time over a minute or whatever. That's why people take samples of small short bits and then sample it. But what we've done, I think, is how does it feel? I think it's definitely in some of the I remember me and Colin both of us were on the machine.
Yeah.
And we were changing the patterns ourselves and restarting.
Having to do like rolls by like clicking a little
rolls by
like
turning
turning a little knob round, like and then back to the beat and stuff like that. Yeah. That was
That's
a fun
cool.
drum machine. That was we were borrowing it long term and we had to give it back, but I'd like to actually buy one of those because it's a really cool drum machine.
What was it?
It was a Roland Rhythm 77 or something.
Oh,
it was like
right.
one of the old. It's very long, and it's got
the
loads
first
of like
touch screen.
red and it's got like a little metal bar that triggers things, and it's got all these yellow and red buttons across the front with loads of dials. I've seen them on eBay go for like about 400 quid or so. So
I got loads of recordings of it.
yeah.
3 albums worth.
Yeah, like actually loads of tracks of like just that drum machine, just us playing with it, and that's a lot of what's in there. Actually, we didn't want that guy had a 808 and all that, but it didn't let us use it. He just let us use that one.
Yeah, that was his least expensive one. He collects loads of old drum machines, and he had some amazing drum machines, and that was his.
We were allowed to.
That was the one that he let us borrow because it was like worth the least amount type thing.
Well, that's cool because everybody uses an 808 or does like an emulation of it. Everybody's got that sound, you know what I mean? Nobody's got the sound of the drum machine you used.
Absolutely.
So it's fine.
Well,
I might be wrong, but it sounds. I think I even found on it Iggy Pop on, I think, night clubbing. I think it's exactly the same. So I think it might have been used on that, but that would be like one song I can recognize.
Yeah, please don't sue us, Iggy Pop. Yeah, I think all the presets, like sounds, are like royalty free anyway, so that'll be chill. But
well,
yeah.
we need to be making a lot for them to go after us, D.
Just you wait, girl. Just you wait.
Wait till you sell a few more t-shirts.
Yeah.
We've only got 3. I think we've only got about 3 left. So
yeah, so everybody buy one. Come on, everybody 3. Go.
We're gonna start hearing all dings on the phones, like from sales of t-shirts.
You'll get to the 4th one, you'll be like, fuck, we've run out.
Oh yeah, and what I wanted to say also about this album, obviously D is the main new element of the song and of the album and of the band pretty much. You've played with us live, bass, guitar. You've lived with us. We played together loads.
We've toured together.
I think I've always wanted you to find your place in it, and now that all the guys are gone, I think you definitely got your place in it. And I think we're gonna work a lot in the future.
Been in the queue, haven't I? But no, it's been a very natural transition, as you would have said before.
Yeah. I think it was meant to be.
It was just meant to be so natural. But
and I already got ideas that I want to work on, and that album and that song Hard Machine represent a lot on what I want to do in the future. So I hope people are gonna like it, because that's what I want to combine. I want to combine a dancey vibe with our approach to like guitars and guitar sounds that we've had in our band, and I really want to bring out collaboration in singing and lyric wise as well. I really want combine all those ideas that will change like the live experience. I think I want to be dancing. I want to do something more, less selfish, less introverted, more extroverted. I want the music to become extrovert. And I think with Daniel and the rhythm that we've got and the ideas that are coming up, I think that's what we're gonna be doing, and I hope that people like it. Obviously, well, as long as we fucking like it ourselves.
That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you know what I mean? Did you feel it on the recording that like the lyrics on this song is how a question for people, because I want to get involved with the audience. I want to, like, you know what I mean? I want to. It's not more like just trying to do poetry and and having these emotions that are like, I would say, like playing the clips more intense and more with anger and nostalgia. I want it to be more of a group emotion, a fun emotion, if you know what I mean.
I think that with something like Playing Eclipse, you're singing it from yourself. It's about yourself. It's or about what you see around about you and about your experiences. And that's what I felt with this EP. It's putting it more to the listener. And no more so than this song, because you're just asking that question. You're taking it away from yourself, completely going to them. How do you feel? How does this feel? And it's like, how does what feel? Like how does the music feel? How does life feel? How does what you're going through that day feel?
Just everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many voices on this particular track as well. I can't even pick, like, I can hear Michael on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many voices. I was like listening back to it, I was thinking like, I can't tell who's on this. Like,
Oh yeah, on this one we got Michael playing the bass, one of the main bass riff, and we got him to sing in between. And each song's gonna have like pretty much a guest singer. I think that's kind of like the concept that I want to do. We got to not unravel too much, but we've got Carling. She's the singer in one of them, and she's gonna be singing in French.
Bonjour.
We got I think D on this one is part of the group vocals, but we're saving something for D for the next album.
Michael on the Hard Machine.
Yeah.
He lost his voice for like 3 days, so it sounds a bit like Phil Mitchell, which is
He does. Yeah. Does it feel good?
Yeah, he doesn't normally sound like that. He'd gone out partying for like 3 days or 4 days, not sleeping, and he'd lost his voice. And he walked into the warehouse, and we were doing some recordings, and we were like, right, get on that microphone. You sound brilliant.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. When people get to the one with Charlie as well.
Yeah, that one's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very.
Yeah, that one is be the end.
That one is really different. I think that is almost the most different to anything we've done, I think.
Yeah.
It's like there's not that many instruments in a way. You know, normally we have like layers and layers of stuff. On this one, we've kept it. It's like the keyboard,
drum machine,
the drum machine, and Charlie, and that's kind of
a guitar.
Oh, and a bit of a guitar, but yeah.
And that's the first time I use a DI guitar.
Okay.
And I couldn't get that sound. Not DI. You needed to be DI to have that sound.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm embracing everything. And now I've no limits of what I want to use in a song. It doesn't matter if it fits in. If we like the way it fits in, it's gonna go in. If it's recorded with the microphone that you got up here, it's gonna be that. If that part is good that way, that's gonna be that way. If you know what I mean. Now it doesn't matter. That's what I think going more. Not having the choice pretty much made me realize that it doesn't matter. If there's a sound that I want and that's recorded on the computer itself, I will use it. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, people have made music since time began, right? Cavemen were making music. They were fucking smashing things off of rocks.
It don't matter, yeah.
Sounded good, you know what I mean? And they get into it and they sang along with it and they danced to it. And it's like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be, it has to be this sound. That just becomes cliched. It's like, oh yeah, everybody does that. So
yeah, that's because before pretty much I think all 3 albums, all the guitars were recorded with a microphone and an amp, like how
everything, yeah, very like traditional. I would even say almost 60s since what they've been doing since the 60s, really. The only modern thing probably we had was probably the microKOG.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it. But that album just got anything, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
We did do a few demos where we were a bit more creative. When we first started out, we were using brooms on the floor to get the sound of like stuff like that. But that was years ago. That was like
But we used to be really anti like digital stuff, like let's say even DI the guitar, like we'll ban that. You know what I mean? Now it's like anything goes, man.
I remember we we got a song called "Sock on a Book" because the drum beat we put a sock on a book and hit it, and it made that real dead kind of like sound that we wanted. So it was like perfect.
Sock in a book.
Sock on a book.
Everyone's just like digging deep into the discography now and like looking for.
Yeah.
It's there. I think it's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it's on YouTube. Sock on a Book. Yeah, I think we recorded that one day. It was Ben's birthday and it was raining, so we stayed in and recorded
yeah,
the
that was
song.
on my birthday, and I think it's probably the best lyrics I've ever written.
Sock in a book, fucking right it is.
I don't know if you've heard it. It's all a group vocal, and we're using a Rosedale organ, a really old fan organ, and we had to tune everything to that organ because some of the keys were missing, and that would let out too much air, which would put everything out of key, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But we recorded along to that, and I feel like in a way that was a group effort to write it, and that actually, now that makes me think about it, is something that I would like to take back again and redo it, so people can hear it, because it was really like rough recording, like very rough.
Well, we used a sock on a book, so you can imagine.
We
had a drum kit. We had the full drum kit. It was just
You need the drum kit when you've got a sock in a book.
it wasn't making the right sound we wanted. That kind of dead sound. So yeah, sock on a book. We've got a friend who was like a bit of an inspiration, and he said he got a drum beat once from hitting a suitcase, an old baggy suitcase, and he said it was brilliant, like this drum beat, and we were like, oh, if you like, you can use a suitcase.
We heard it. We're like, it sounds amazing. It
sounded so good.
So why not use a suitcase? Anyways, that was my point when we started the band. That's kind of like I wanted to be, Frankie Teardrop. I wanted to be like Suicide, like be really minimalist, be able to do something with nothing, pretty much, or with a strict minimum. And then obviously the band grew. So as soon as it shrunk again, I took the opportunity to do this EP. To go back to basic.
It's gone full circle, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Daniel.
The circle of life. Yeah.
And I think with your quality on the guitar and your vocals and my approach and your pretty much my approach and your talent, I think we can do something amazing. And I think this is an example of what we can start with, because it's a base start of what we can do in the future, I think.
Absolutely.
When people are gonna hear your lead guitar, and what is it on the next one that I'm gonna release with Joe singing at the end?
Oh, what a song!
I don't know why.
He's brilliant, isn't he? How he's so brilliant, Joe is.
Joseph's amazing. He's brilliant.
He's so
what a guitar player as well. What a guitar player.
Yeah.
Did you hear the song he did for that Psych Against Cancer album?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, check it out. It's on. Christ, there's about 180 songs.
It intimidates me, that album, because there's just so much.
I can't tell you the title. I've not got it here.
I've always mentioned Joe as being like probably. He's got a really good creative. Like he's really quite unique. I've always liked what he does. I always like what he does. I always think he thinks in his own way, which is, I think, the best talent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's got. I think if we were to collaborate a bit more, we could do. I get him involved more in the stuff we're gonna do, and he's really good at producing himself. So it's easy to send him tracks, and you'll hear him on the next track that we're gonna release after Hard Machine, and he's got vocals at the end. Next time I get him probably to do guitars, or to have his input. That's what I want to do in the future. Like really loads of collaboration. Obviously with the new Carl, me, Carling, Daniel, and we're gonna have probably Leanne on bass. So yeah, I just want to use, like I said in the other interview, I've been using a drum pad, like New Order. You know, New Order's been using drum pads, and I think it's a really good element. Maybe Carling's gonna jump on the drum pads. I don't know. It just opened up,
isn't it?
reopened what I wanted to do, like a Pandora's box. You know what I mean?
The key of all, the key should always be just to not have any restrictions. That's the important thing. It's like, see if you want to, because there's never anything wrong with everything that you've done, and the way that you've made records in the past. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, as long as you never allow that to become like the norm, where it's like, well, that has to be how it's done. That's wrong. If that's the right thing at that time, then it's brilliant. You know what I mean? And you take that experience and you take that knowledge and you just keep on building it. And if you never restrict yourself by saying, well, we have to stick to this format, it's what pisses me off a lot of the time when you hear people talking about, oh, we want to really get that kind of retro analog feel where it didn't feel digital and restricted. Yeah. By saying that, they've already restricted themselves, because they've said, we want to get this specific sound from this specific time that's been done 1,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times, you know what I mean? Then it's being super restrictive. It's like you've already pigeonholed yourself. Whereas when people go, yeah, well, we'll take everything that's good about that, then we'll use everything digital, we'll use all our mates, we'll use whoever wants to play on this, we'll use a sock and a book. You know, it's like,
watch out until we use auto-tune in it.
Exactly. And if you use that because it's creatively cool and it actually works, then that's fine. You know what I mean?
Or give yourself even the challenge to input it in it. You know what I mean?
Like, you know, like that Cher song.
You know, like, you know, like what the rappers are using at the moment. Why not? I see Daniel using it in one of the tracks. That would be fucking amazing, actually.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Challenge taken, I reckon.